fortunately, luckily enough, we were accepted by Canada. But it took the Canadian government, I don't know how those guys are doing it today, but it took them 3.5 years, or 3 years. They lost the papers after 1.5 years. We had to refill. Obviously, they were not using Adastra, because using our services, that could have never happened, right? But then we were one day we were admitted, and that was almost to the end of my PhD studies. You know, in Germany, lots of people who study PhD, they take 6 years, even 7 years. I couldn't do that because I had to work at the university. I had also a side job doing some C language programming in one small software company, and so I was in a hurry. So I did it in 3 years. What was good, but on the other side, if I studied it for 6 or 7 years, I might have remembered something out of it. Today, when I look at my thesis published in a nice book, then I don't remember it, unfortunately. I think other people have written it. In Canada, I started small job. Took me 15 months to find a job because, you know, we got here in December 1991. You might remember that was another recession. Now we are just out of some recession. It didn't hit me, this one, that much as that one in 91. Out of the basement apartment with no windows, and we never asked for any money, anyone. So it was pretty difficult, 15 months. But after 15 months, I finally adjusted myself enough for the Canadian market, from that academic background to something really practical. And I don't keep it against those folks that they were not, you know, over-educated or over-qualified, etc. I was actually maybe over-educated, but definitely underqualified, and this is why I wasn't landing the job. But it took some adjustments, and then I started working for a small software company, and then I moved to some other companies, etc. Eventually, I landed working for the Bank of Montreal. Before I got to the Bank of Montreal, however, I got already in that field of business intelligence and data mining, or advanced analytics. No one called it at the time data mining. That means that, you know, using computer science methods and programming databases and using statistical modeling to derive some useful, at that time mostly marketing information from huge amounts of data. The banks who were paying, that was the year, I think, 95 or early 96, the banks who were early adopters of those concepts, they initially were buying it, all buying it. So they would take tapes and other media, ship to some company all the data, and 2 months later they would get a list of names they should focus on and run some campaigns and try to sell them something. That was predominantly all of that work was marketing oriented. And then the banks realized that they are paying so much money over and over again, right? And decided that they would build that competency in-house. And they were looking for people who could build that for them. And you know, someone smart at the Bank of Montreal decided that weirdo-looking immigrant, Jan Mrazek, might be the right fellow to start it up. So I was very lucky, because Bank of Montreal was fantastic home, and today is still our best customer. Or, you know, we have only best customers, but Bank of Montreal is certainly the greatest customer what we have, and it's great to be greatest, right? So I am still very thankful to that organization for the opportunity they gave me. What was it? They believed in those weird concepts. I was presenting them, and so we were a grassroots movement, few people building this data warehousing apartment there, and the business intelligence competency and data mining competency. And that got me to work with the latest technologies. Now, the banks, they are very risk-averse, and I want to spend a few words on risk in general in a few minutes. But you know, I never hesitated to push someone to spend a big chunk of money for new technology, to be on the bleeding edge, because at that time I was thinking, okay, in worst case they will fire me, so they will fire me. And other people who knew the same what I did, perhaps, that they should venture in this field, but they were thinking, okay, what if they fire me, right? And I said, okay, they fire me, but they didn't. They didn't. You know, as a matter of fact, they keep me till today in some way. that gave me the opportunity to meet not only the great technologies, but great companies behind those technologies, because these were fresh concepts. This is how it got me into the speaking opportunities, really a lot in Canada, in the United States, in the UK, in continental Europe, in Australia, and some of those companies, like that great IBM, they rotated me really literally around the world as someone who is promoting those new concepts, because if people bought into those new concepts, they would buy their technologies and services. And that got me thinking that the time is here to set up my own business. I was always obsessed with that. I was starting small businesses on site. I started several small, it's just that when you don't know what to do in the evening or on Saturday or Sunday or through the vacations. Right? If my wife said that I have balanced life, I don't know what maybe she didn't understand what it means, balanced life, but I don't think that I had really balanced life at that time. I might have today, actually. She might be right for today. But at that time, I was trying a variety of things. But then I got this concept, I simply will take what I learned in this new emerging industry, the contacts I had as a speaker and at the bank and some other financial institutions here, and that I will look for some partners who could help me to build something. And, I found some in Boston, one American and one British guy, and almost was closing already that partnership with them. And a company called MicroStrategy, an American business intelligence company, they asked me whether I wouldn't go to the Czech Republic and be keynote speaker on their first conference in the Central Europe. And they didn't know that I was from Prague, that Prague is actually my home city, but simply I said enthusiastically yes, yes. And it happened that two of the people who are my partners today, Jan Červinka and Peter Jach, they attended my keynote, and they liked what they heard, and they came talking to me. They set up their, it wasn't there, but they were running a small company for a Canadian mother company called Speedware at the time, a company in the BI, business intelligence, out of Montreal. And they decided that they want to open subsidiary for some Western company, and all the big companies were already taken in the Czech Republic, so they were looking for some software company far away, and they found coincidentally this interesting company in Canada and set up the subsidiary in the Czech Republic. When we started together, Adastra Group, or at that time we called it Adastra Corporation, here in Toronto, the first thing what we had done, we bought that subsidiary in the Czech Republic from the company of Speedware, what was a very risky undertaking. I don't want to publicly here disclose the amount. It was pretty small amount measured today. Certainly we wouldn't discuss about it that much in our meetings at Adastra Group today, but at that time that was enormously risky business, and I gave up my career with the Bank of Montreal. We opened a small office where I was the only one sitting in it in Toronto, and that were our beginnings, and that was 10 years ago. So something happened between these times and today, that we had that growth. It wasn't 650% in 1 year. I think that it was over 5 years, but you can be growing very fast from 0 to 1, right? But when you are a $75 million revenue company, if you are growing double digit, and we are always growing double digit, that's good enough. We would love to go into the hundreds, but in professional services, that isn't that easy. Okay.